I have a confession to make. I never knew what a pawn break was, the term, until I was over the rating of 2000. Of course I used pawn breaks in my games, but I never knew the term pawn break until the rating of 2000. I never knew that was actually rules that was attached to using pawn breaks. In this video I'll be teaching you the 5 golden rules that you want to utilize and make sure that you optimize your pawn breaks in the best way you can. Before we even talk about the rules, we want to know a clear definition of what a pawn break is, in case if you don't know. Well, we were talking about in this video middle game pawn breaks, not pawn breakthroughs in the end game, but pawn breaks in the middle game. And the definition I'll use in this video is a pawn break is a strategic move that alters pawn structures that creates advantages and imbalances to get you the upper hand in a game. So the first golden rule of pawn breaks is assess the position. Carefully assess and evaluate the position that occurs when you do a pawn break. Is it favorable for you or not? Is it really breaking your chances to win? Is really ruining your chances to win? And if you have a pawn break that's really good, you assess it correctly, then do the pawn break. The second rule is timing is key. Sometimes people do a pawn break without preparing it adequately. So they lose a pawn, they have basically no open lines, no weaknesses to target, and it's really a waste of a pawn break. There's really nothing to be said about it. Third one is create weaknesses. Pawn breaks are really good at creating weaknesses for your opponent. For example, backwards pawns, double pawns, pawn islands, and exploit the weaknesses that you create with a pawn break. The fourth rule is utilize piece activity. The resulting pawn break actually has piece coordination that supports your ability to create tactical opportunities to create an advantage for yourself and win the game. The fifth and final rule is understanding the pawn structure dynamics. It's important to grasp the impact of the pawn breaks you've made to have a resulting pawn structure for you yourself and your opponent that is favorable to your plans and win the game. Now let's show you 3 examples of where to use pawn breaks in the best way you can. So one pawn break we'll use is to combat the ever so annoying London system as black. So London system goes d4, you can do whatever, and bishop f4 usually happens. So this opening, you'll be just using a pawn break to have an opening advantage as black against the London system. So we go g6 here. They go e4 if they want to, but usually people in London system terms you'll go e3 instead to basically reach the normal territory that you're used to. So bishop b7, now f3, knight d7, and the point is after let's say knight d2 happens, e5 the pawn break happens in the middle, and it's really bad for white. It's now equal, and if they go bishop e3, we go maybe knight e7 to go to f5 and target the bishop. It could do bishop e2 or c3. It's fine. Castles bishop e2, knight f5, and if they just do castling, we'll be happy to trade this bishop off. And actually, black is having an advantage in the opening against the London system. With a pawn break, we have an advantage. More we would want against the London system, and this is the power of a pawn break in simple terms in this first example. The second example will show and highlight the timing aspect and the tactical opportunities created by the pawn breaks. So this example has both factors. So this is a French defense, and usually in the French defense they opt for this pawn break of c5 attacking d4. So when white has like a French advance or this one, you want to combat this advanced center with pawn breaks to weigh at it and create weaknesses for us to exploit. So now f3, everything is coming pawn to this d4 pawn. Some people play queen b6 sometimes, but we're not doing that. We'll do bishop b7. After bishop b2, castles. Now we go f6, another breakthrough, pawn breakthrough, and white should take on f6 or c5. And if they don't do that, let's say an innocent looking move like queen e2, now black is usually just spattered. After f6 c5, the game is just really bad for white, And if not careful, let's say if they go f2 c5, now we sacrifice the rook. As Gotham Chess always says, we just take on f3 with the rook. After bishop takes f3, we do cd4. Then after bishop takes c4, we'll just take this bishop. And now the queen take. They can't take because the bishop g5 was a queen by this pin. So the exploded lines we created with f-file had the second opportunities, and we have this exploitation of this d4 pawn, and everything else chipped away in a flash because white did not take the pawn break seriously, and as a result, in this game, lost their queen. The final example will be highlighting the factor of creating weaknesses by the pawn breaks. So this is white to move in this position, and this does a terrible move, knight a3. Why is it terrible? Because of the pawn break c4. We're breaking down the center that white has and opening up of lines of the bishop on e7 to take on a3, creating double pawns, isolated pawns, and basically this is not good for white. So they could go c6, c4, we take on e4. They go knight d2, taking e4 back, but we take on a3, and they take back, and the resulting pawn structure are ugly, and black is generally better. So black can go queen e3, they can do bishop e4 first, this one, and they go queen e2, then queen e3, and black is really happy here, and white has created really a lot of weaknesses simply because of one pawn break, and the power of pawn breaks will be utilized to your games, hopefully to the best of effect. Hey, check this video out to make sure that you get more important information to bring your chess to the next level.